On Wednesday, the House Oversight Committee released new emails from disgraced pedophile Jeffrey Epstein detailing what President Trump knew about Epstein's abuse of young women. I'm going to quickly read you a couple of them, John.
Great.
In April of 2011, Epstein emailed Ghislaine Maxwell, his accomplice in these matters, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Redacted victim's name. Spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Police chief, etc." Email 2. In January of 2019, Epstein emailed journalist Michael Wolff to say, quote, redacted victim name, Mar-a-Lago, and then something else redacted, and then, quote, "Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." So to summarize, Trump spent hours with one of Epstein's victims at Epstein's home. Epstein says Trump knew about his abuse of these young women. Remember, Trump tried to say that he was mad at Epstein for poaching employees from Mar-a-Lago. That was obviously bullshit at the time. Like, Trump doesn't care about some 16-year-old working in the valet or whatever. But this confirms he knew about the actual abuse. And Trump's claim to have kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago was a lie. Epstein was never a member of Mar-a-Lago. Not exactly a smoking gun. It's more like a bonfire here, I think. I guess we know why these guys took on like weeks, if not months, of political damage to cover up these files. The truth is way worse.
The dog that hasn't barked.
The dog that hasn't
That's
barked.
the line that really stuck out to me.
Rough.
I feel like the 2011 email is the biggest bombshell to me because Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell in 2011 emailing back and forth would have no incentive to lie about Donald Trump.
Right.
Donald Trump at the time was April of 2012, which is very funny. That is, as Donald Trump was going around the country demanding Barack Obama's birth certificate, and right before the Correspondents' Dinner, where he went and Obama made fun of him. So that just to think about, like, it was way back then, and the White House is responding by saying, well, Virginia Giuffre was. She said that Trump had never been nicer, couldn't have been nicer, and that's proof that this is bullshit. And it's like, so you're saying that Donald Trump couldn't have been nicer to a woman he also knew was part of an underage sex ring.
Yeah.
And spent time with Jeffrey Epstein's house. Like, okay, great.
It feels like the obligation is to go a little further. I mean, this woman was poached at age 16 from Mar-a-Lago. She's working at the spa. She was poached by Ghislaine Maxwell, brought into the Epstein world, and then repeatedly abused. I assume, I mean, we don't know which redacted victim's name Trump spent hours with, but I would assume it could be Giuffre.
Well, the White House and House Republicans just are assuming it's her. So I don't know if they know because they have seen the unredacted documents, but they're the ones out there basically saying it's her and using her quotes to somehow try to debunk this in the lamest fucking way possible.
Not going to work. In 2018, Epstein emailed a lawyer named Kathy Rumler. Kathy is our former colleague, which is very weird and uncomfortable. But the message said the following, quote, "You see, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers, New York biz people have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip." John, I'm guessing this is in reference to Trump's business dealings. I think Michael Cohen, his former fixer, had just flipped and was maybe providing evidence to the feds about Trump. But man, that is a bad quote to have out there too.
Yeah, there's just it's tough to tease out what parts of Donald Trump's creepiness it being referenced in some of these emails. There's another email they have where Jeffrey Epstein is emailing Larry Summers and saying that Donald Trump is insane, borderline insane. And then it says Dershowitz is close to the border, but not there yet.
Yeah, well, accurate on that one.
But there's a few things here. Like, so Ghislaine Maxwell sits for an interview with the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche, Trump's former personal lawyer, while she's in prison.
Yeah.
This is a deposition of type, right? Like, you're not supposed to lie during these.
Yep.
We now know that she lied during
absolutely.
those because her own email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Oh, I've been thinking about this too," or something to that effect on the dog that didn't bark thing, contradicts her testimony to Todd Blanche, which, when you're talking to the Deputy Attorney General from jail and then you are now asking for a commutation of your sentence, seems weird that you'd lie.
Yeah, I also think Ghislaine Maxwell might have said she never saw Donald Trump at Epstein's house. And then Epstein says in this email that not only was Trump there, but he spent hours with one of the victims. But yeah, I mean, this broader sketchy context is really important. In July, remember, Todd Blanche flies to Florida, he interviews Ghislaine Maxwell in prison where she's serving a 20-year sentence. Soon after, she is just mysteriously moved to Texas to a minimum security prison where, according to this new whistleblower report, she is now being waited on hand and foot, and she is preparing a request for Trump to commute her sentence. So she's getting special treatment. She's allowed to play with like an emotional support puppy. She's getting meals that no one else gets. She's getting phone calls no one else gets. One of the top officials at the facility has complained that he is, quote, sick of having to be Maxwell's bitch. Like, that is the broader context here.
I just get I don't know how you explain that in I guess you could say the email is fake, right? Which the House Republicans have reviewed these emails as well. And again, it's 2011. He's just in a private email with Ghislaine Maxwell. Why would he make up the idea that Donald Trump was with these girls at his house for hours?
Yep. So in the near future, the House should have a vote on releasing the broader set of Epstein files. So remember, Speaker Johnson literally refused to seat a newly elected Democrat named Adelita Grijalva because she would have been the 218th signature on something called a discharge petition. Grijalva will be sworn in later today, I believe, Wednesday, November 12th. So a discharge petition, it's a mechanism to force a vote in the House. If you can get 218 members of the House to sign on, that's a simple majority of the 435 members, you can force a vote on basically anything. So that'd be a good thing if that happens. We assume it'll happen. But for an Epstein document release bill to become law, it would also have to get voted out of the Senate and then not vetoed by Donald Trump. So it seems like a tall order. John Thune, the Republican leader in the Senate, has previously said he doesn't think there needs to be a vote. But, I mean, these emails hopefully will really build pressure on him and all of those guys to just get this shit out there.
I didn't know that this was the kind of thing, because it's a demand of the Justice Department, that Trump would have to sign into law and not veto.
Yeah.
That seems tough.
Tough hurdle to climb.
But well, it's interesting to me because Annie Carney at the New York Times just tweeted that she just broke the news that Trump has he called Lauren Boebert this morning very early because she's one of the Republican names on the discharge petition regarding her signing the petition. He's also playing phone tag with Nancy Mace, trying to get her. So they are trying to pressure people in the House, Republicans in the House, to take their names off the petition from the White House. Mm-hmm. And CNN just broke the news via Dana Bash that there's supposed to be a meeting today inside the White House as aides try to manage a potential House vote on the release of the Epstein file. So they may be feeling confident that he can just veto this thing, but they really don't want it to pass.
Yeah, if I were Trump, I would not want to have a conversation about this. I mean, I think that's the bigger problem. It's just the political debate. He doesn't want this issue to get dredged back up. What Speaker Johnson has been doing to prevent Grijalva from getting seated, to prevent this discharge position from going to the floor, is so shady. It's kind of shocking that it hasn't been a bigger story.
Well,
but now it's just, hopefully the issue is just forced.
I will say that I'm not defending Mike Johnson here, but his explanation the whole time was the House is not in session because the government shut down, and now he's scheduled her swearing in because the House is back in session because the government's reopening. So I don't think that he kept the House out of session. It could be true that he didn't keep the House out of session just to avoid swearing her in, but that it was a useful way to delay it while the government was shutting down.
He's lying, though. He could have sworn her in whether or not they're in
easily.
So.
But now at least he knew he couldn't make that excuse any longer, and now that the government's back open again.
Yeah. The other thing that's really weird here is, so Michael Wolff is one of the journalists in contact with Jeffrey Epstein. He wrote the book Fire and Fury. I read the book. It was an interesting read. I've always viewed Wolff with some suspicion. He seems to play fast and loose with sourcing.
Little fan fiction, some of his stuff.
Yeah, a little fan fiction. But in these emails, Michael Wolff is literally acting like a PR advisor to Jeffrey Epstein. Like, he's helping Epstein craft an answer if Trump is asked about their relationship at a CNN debate. I'd love to know if that answer was shared with Trump or his team. But either way, like, why the fuck is Michael Wolff helping spin for Jeffrey Epstein? That is an egregious ethical violation.
Also, wasn't asked at the debate.
No, wasn't asked at all. Yeah.
So that's a weird one too.
Hillary did it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a shocking revelation, but it is confirmation that what a lot of people who know of Michael Wolff have long believed, that he is a shady motherfucker.
And he's also like, trying to bait Epstein into, like, if you give me a comment on something or do an interview, you could bury Trump, which is like a wildly inappropriate way to talk about a political candidate if you were a journalist. Look, I'm going to go full QAnon here. I do think we need to revisit the fact that Epstein mysteriously died in prison in 2019. Donald Trump was president then. No one believes it was a death by suicide. There's tons of evidence about like missing surveillance footage, the botched investigation. Everything about this is off. I really do think that people need to be asking more questions about whether the Trump administration could have been complicit in Epstein's death.
I mean, yeah, I think so too. Like that we should at least be asking the questions, because the fact that they are still trying so hard to cover it up now that this email is out, right? There's one way where if this email was the embarrassing mention of Donald Trump in the Epstein files, then you're Donald Trump and you make up some story, it's not true, whatever, but it's out, let's move on. They're still trying to kill the vote. They're still trying to lie about it. They're still trying to cover up. She's asking for a pardon. She's at the Club Med fucking prison, Ghislaine Maxwell. So like there's clearly more that they're trying to hide here. Clearly.
Yeah. And Trump has in place a bunch of morons like Kash Patel at the FBI or Pam Bondi at DOJ who are not qualified for the jobs, who are solely there because he knows that they will do anything for him to cover up anything Trump has done wrong and also to punish Trump's enemies. So I think it's time to dig deeper.
We've like moved past this because we all assume that the Trump administration lies about everything, but they have been caught. Even if there is nothing else here, they have been caught in so many fucking lies. He's not in the files. Then there was a report that he is in the files because of that Oval Office meeting where she told him, and they're trying to deny that, deny.
J.D. Vance's op-ed screed about how that Trump's doodle of the like
couldn't have happened.
Harmless teen couldn't have happened. About the poem for Jeffrey Epstein. Obviously, that we saw the poem in the photo.
Just fucking lie after lie after lie. Lie that they should have known. Lies that they should have known could have been would be easily disproved when more documents came out that existed, and yet they just fucking charged ahead anyway, which again leads credence to sort of the darker conspiracies that there is something else big that they're trying to hide here.
I really want to know what they're so worried about. I mean, it feels like we're figuring out day after day, drip, drip, drip. It's sort of the worst case scenario, but hopefully these Republican members in the House stay tough. They stay on this discharge petition. There actually is a vote. So basically, if they get 218 signatures, I think it will be like a week to 10 days of legislative days, like days the House is in session before they could get a vote. So that's early December probably is when this would come to a head. You could imagine a creep like Johnson trying to like bury it before Christmas or something. But, you know, we got to keep pushing the issue. Good for Ro Khanna, good for Thomas Massie, who have this bipartisan effort to get this discharge position a vote.
I don't know if it goes into January, then maybe it can be timed up right with the State of the Union.
Oh, good. Yeah. The State of the Union is creepy. All right. Thank you for watching this episode of Pod Save America here on YouTube. Please subscribe to Pod Save America because, Ben Shapiro, TPUSA, they're probably not covering the Epstein story anymore. So you need progressives like us to do so.
I have a MAGA media column here on my tweet deck and nothing.
No, they're not worried about this?
Except Alex Jones, who has been talking about how it's all phony.
Right? Yeah, it's a deep state. Look, we are trying to build a counterweight to that crap. Please subscribe to Pod Save America here on YouTube. When normal people search for political news, then they could find us, give them factual information, and not Alex Jones or whatever. So, thank you.